All right, let's really talk about this, man, because this is getting out of hand. Like I'm seeing MVP discussions, that's this, that, and the third, and I'm seeing the same top three that has been for the last 3 seasons, 2 seasons. Like I'm seeing the same top three, and what I mean by the same top three, I'm seeing Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid, and that's cap, man. Like I'm tired of media just going for the MVP for the season based off of narratives, because that's what they do. It's like who has the best story, and stuff like that. Or, okay, his story is he's without him and he's without him, and then he's propelled this with him. And like they do a lot of those things, right? Those media, those media games. They do a lot of that shit. And when you look at it, that's not a real assessment of what's actually transpiring and what real elite looks like. It's really not. Obviously, Embiid being the NBA's leading scorer in terms of PPG, that should propel him in the conversation alone, because that's the first time that happens since Shaq. And then when you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, they have been, for the most part, they've been winning. Obviously, lately they struggled a little bit with James Harden there on the back end near the end. But for the most part, what is Philly? Philly is the 4th seed, 51 wins, right? You got 51 wins. I mean, you're the 4th seed. You're still a top 4, top 3 seed. I can understand that, because even though you're the 4th seed, you have the same record as Milwaukee and Boston. You're all the 2nd seed, basically. So it's not even like, oh, they're the 4th seed. No, they're basically the number 2 seed. They could have got that if the Celtics lost. You know what I mean? They're all tied. Just has the tiebreaker. So they're technically the number 2 seed. And so number 2 in the East, tied for number 2 in the East, averaging 30 points per game, being the NBA scoring leader. Like, that's enough. I could see why Embiid should definitely be a favorite to win it. I could see why he's, should be definitely, if he doesn't win it, a runner-up. Like, he's guaranteed 1 or 2. But Jokic, I'm not rocking with that. I'm definitely not rocking with that. And I think that is cap. I know that he won last year, but his team was, the number 2 seed last year, if I remember. Let's make sure. Let me do my due diligence. Last year, they were the number 3 seed, right? They were the top 3 seed. So I'm okay with that last year, and especially what he was doing individually. You know what I'm saying? I can understand why, or where the logic comes from, and where the kind of line of just thinking and just making that decision. I understand where it comes from. But right now, I can understand. Even them saying Giannis, he's the 3rd leading scorer. It even makes sense having him in the discussion. I definitely am not mad at that as well. Him being a top 3 candidate, I'm not mad as that. I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad at all. Like I said, number 2 in the East, averaging 29.9. Joel Embiid is averaging 30.6. They're basically both averaging 30, like top 2, scorers in the NBA. LeBron's the number 2, and it's supposed to come down to Joel Embiid and Giannis. But when I look at Jokic is the 10th scorer. He's averaging 27, which is good. 27. You already know. I know for Jokic is mainly the PER and, all those advanced stats and this and that. And, I don't care about that advanced stat shit. I care about what was your field goal? What was your 3-point percentage? Like, those are basic stats that I could literally verify, and I could see and I could count that you shot it in the game. There's no capping behind it. You know what I mean? And even with the contests, we don't even, those stats don't even show your takes. But when I already use the eye test, and when I use those stats, it kind of gives me, a clarification and just kind of like, okay, a conclusion on what I saw with my eyes. Oh, I knew he shot a lead anyways. Oh, he's shooting 40% from 3. That's disgusting. You better trust him. That's what the stats are supposed to be used for. You know what I'm saying? When you look at it from that perspective. But other than that, you know what I mean? Jokic, obviously, these PR, these advanced stats, mans are doing formulas and combinations, effective percentage, effective field goal percentage, and all this. Mans are combined in math, yo. That's not real. That's not real. So, anyways, that's a different discussion. But Jokic, 27 points, 58% from the field, 33% from 3, 81% from free throw, and 14 rebounds and 8 assists. Disgusting. You better trust him. I could see why people have him there and stuff like that, but when it comes to the record, I can't ignore the record, especially in comparison to the other guys. I can't ignore the record situation. His record is what as a team. Obviously, it's a team thing, but still, he's 6th in the West, fam. 48-34. He's 6th in the West. Only 2 games avoiding the play-in. So you're telling me KD could have won because he's the 7th seed in the East? He could have won MVP, even though he's in the play-in at the 7th seed. Like the Nuggets were literally 2 games above the 7th seed, and you're telling me that team could have an MVP for the year? Are you serious? And I know Westbrook won it at the 6th seed, but it's because he averaged a triple-double for the first time since Oscar Robertson. That was a history MVP. That wasn't even really an MVP because it should have went to Harden. Normally, your team has to be a top 3, top 2 seed in whatever conference, and you have to be killing individually. Best player on one of those teams, guaranteed to get it. Jokic shouldn't even be in the conversation. He shouldn't be. And who should be is Devin Booker. D-Book. Their team is 64-18. D-Book is averaging 27, just like Jokic. Averaging 45% from the field. Obviously, different percentages. You know, Jokic be in the paint OD. Right? And D-Book is shooting, 47% from the field. 38% from 3. 87% from the free throw line. 5 and 5 assists. 27, 5 and 5 is what he's doing. But not just that. You're doing 27, 5 and 5, which is not too far off from 30 points. Like for you to have 30, like for Embiid to win the MVP, I would say if he was averaging 32, 33, it's guaranteed it's a lock, even though his team is a number 2 seed in the East. In terms of comparison to D-Book. D-Book, though, has the record. So his 27 points per game missing from 30 points per game is only 3 points, but yet his record is slapping Embiid's. His team record, he's literally 8 games above the second best team. Their team is 8 games above the second best team in the whole NBA, which is in the West, Memphis Grizzlies. They're 8 games better than them. 11 games better than the Heat. 11 games better than the Warriors. 13 games better than the Bucks and the Sixers and the Celtics all tied. 13 games better, fam. That is drastic. That is a lot. Only team with 60 wins this season. 64. 18 losses. Like, that is a drastic. Like, come on now. On top of that, with CP3 injured for a huge chunk, and you still was winning, cooking, playing PG, like doing more, like, that should have locked it. That stretch right there should have locked it. Because all that whole media, oh, CP3, it's CP3, was debunked, and it was never always CP3. CP3 he's a huge part. He's a huge reason, obviously. But they had CP3 higher in every MVP and even last year, higher than D-Book, disrespecting him, even when D-Book's doing majority of the scoring. Like, come on now. What are we talking about? What are we talking? The way they disrespect D-Book, he had empty stats. Now he's winning. Best record in the NBA by far. And individually, he's not that far off of the Giannis's and them and those guys. He's right there. And he doesn't run away with it. That to me is blasphemous. And that's where it's all about media narratives. And they have nothing to say about D-Book because, you know, calm, cool, collected, elite bag, you know what I'm saying? Elite, his game, his talking is the eye test. His eye test, like, you know, he's top. That's why I said from time, he's the best shooting guard in the game. The best shooting guard in the game. I think he's above PG because PG, I think D-Book posts up more and does more in terms of variety. Even though PG is killer. Those two guys are still top 2. Harden, you already know, he basically fell off that whole top conversation. But you could even put Levine, DeRozan, like those guys. Those are the 4. Those are the 4 right there. You know what I'm saying? Shooting guard. But for the most part, when you look at it, you know, D-Book, his narrative is more so his bag and his eye test. Like, that's his narrative. He doesn't have these story narratives that people run with these other guys. The media will do their media things, and I don't know why they dislike him. I don't know why they treat him like this, because it's Fugazi. It literally is. He should be running away with it. He should be easily. Just to throw another perspective and to show you how Fugazi, what they're doing to D-Book really is, take it in. When Steve Nash with the same Suns, obviously different team, you already know, but what I mean, the same organization, when he won 62 games, Steve Nash won the MVP in 04-05, the first MVP, not the second back-to-back one, the first one. He won it averaging 15.5 points, so 16 points, and 11.5, so 12 assists. 16 and 12. Obviously, it was 50, 40, 89, disgusting. But 16 and 12 was what Nash did. 16 and 12. 16 and 12. That's what Chris Paul is doing basically right now, similar. And he's nowhere near the discussion. 16 and 12. So those numbers are hella big. They're not basic. 12 assists back then and even 15 points back there is elite. But still, like 12 assists back then too is elite with the space and etc. But come on now. 15 points and 12 assists, like 16 points, 12 assists. That's not top tier in terms of the points. He's not at 20 and 12, stuff like that, right? But the reason why those stats are enough to get him it is because they were the number 1 seed in the whole NBA. And let's really look at it. They're the number 1 seed in the whole NBA. But while they're the number 1 seed in the whole NBA, they were only 3 games above the second best team, Miami Heat, who had 59 wins. The Spurs, who had 59 wins. They both had 59 and 23. The Mavericks had 58 wins. They had 62 wins, the Suns. They were only 3 games better. So if you're only 3 games better and your stats are like average or whatever, or a bit better than average, shouldn't the guys who had 59 wins, the Spurs and the Heat and the Mavericks, shouldn't those guys who have their top 2 in scoring, 27, whatever points per game, shouldn't they be the ones who won it? Because they're technically like not far off of the best record in the NBA. It's not like you won it best record in the NBA by drastic measures. But yet, D-Book, his record is by drastic measures, and his points per game and all of that is still by drastic measures, and he's still not the favorite. While someone has mediocre stats, not even drastic measures, and wins it. Like, do you see what I'm talking about? And they're trying to make it seem like D-Book don't do enough. Are you serious right now? Like, look what I just showed you. And Nash won MVP that year. Look what it took to win MVP. And if you look at it, for the most part, 27 and 5 most MVP, I think the last couple of MVPs for a while have been having those type of stats. So D-Book has those stats on the like the team is by far the greatest team in the league right now, the Suns. And yet, no love. And it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So, man, that's who I think should be the MVP. Then when you actually dive into the bag and just what he's doing and just the system and just how they play and how he just scores, the mid-range maestro, just the elite ability, what elite looks like from all aspects of the game. 3-level scorer, no weakness, man, no weakness in his game. You look at it from that perspective, man. That to me should be guaranteed MVP. Guaranteed MVP. But, that's who I think the MVP should go to. I think it should go to D-Book first. If not D-Book, then Embiid. If not Embiid, then Giannis. And that's it. That's the list. That's the list. Done. Jokic, I'm sorry. You won it last year. Your team was elite. I understand what propels him is more so he doesn't have the MPJ. He doesn't have the Jamal Murray. But that was a narrative last year, and that's why it was so spectacular how he was a 3 seed, which is why I thought he should have won it, and I didn't even bat an eye. But now you don't have those guys, and you're the 6 seed. You're worse than you were last year. Your numbers might be a little bit better than it was last year, but look at you can't isolate his numbers. No one on this list, when you look at MVP, I never isolate them. I compare them to the next man. So when you look at Jokic's numbers, if Embiid was only averaging 27 and D-Book was only averaging 27 and Giannis was only averaging 27 and let's say Jokic is the leading scorer, then you being the 6th seed might give you more weight because you don't have those guys. You were the 6th seed and you're the leading scorer in the NBA. Like you have all these other feats that it makes sense to, okay, you know what, the record shouldn't matter for him. He's just too disgusting in all these other categories. But when you're uncomparable or even lesser than like the Embiid's and whatever, and your record is lesser than as well too, what are we really talking about here? Just because he's more, I guess, greater than those guys in the PER and all these advanced shit, that's what's propelling in the narrative and the story. But that should not, I'm gonna be tight if he wins it. Especially that he won it last year off a better year or a better situation in terms of those standings and stuff like that. I'm gonna be tight that he wins it back-to-back years, the 1 to 3 seed, 1 to 6 seed. That's gonna be Fugazi. I'm not rolling with that. I'm not, we not moving like that. We're not moving like that. Like I said, order D-Book first, Embiid second, Giannis third, and that's that. That's that. But I'll be surprised if he wins it because they don't like D-Book. And, media controls what they control, and they love the Jokic, the Giannis, the PER, the advanced stats, and this. Like, they love that shit. So, like, Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid, those are going to be the top three probably for a while because of how the media just loves them, and they have the perfect stories. So, and then the personable, they're humble. Well, maybe not Embiid, but Giannis and Jokic for sure. So, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is, but they're just, and it's, I don't know. It's like they just disrespect shot creators. I'm getting this shot creating disrespect. Like, you know what I mean? DeRozan, when he was killing the shot creating, they didn't even have him in conversations as well, too. Like, you know what I mean? And then now D-Book as a shot creator killing, they don't have him in conversation as well, too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Levine, they didn't have him in a conversation as well, too. Like, he wasn't there eating alongside with DeRozan, both averaging 27. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just, I don't know why they just be disrespecting the go-getters. I don't like it. I don't like how they moving like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. It's True Talks, because True Talks. Share, like, and subscribe. We out here. There's no doubt here. And there's no drought here. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. You already know. Man, it's what Elite looks like. The play-in games, I'm definitely going to do that. And we're going to discuss that after it happens. The play-in is today. The first part of the play-in, in the East and West. And the second part is tomorrow. And then the last part is a day after that. It's the day, 1 day rest, and the day after that, on the 15th. So, I'm going to be obviously doing that. But once we fully get all the matchups, then I'm going to do a conference breakdown in terms of just playoff preview, because the playoffs is here. You feel me? Did the Bucks really duck the Nets? Is that how they move? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to talk about a lot of that. The Raptors and the Sixers, what I think is definitely a highly anticipated matchup. You know what I mean? We got a lot. Even the Bucks and Bulls. Like, there's a lot of solid matchups out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm liking what I'm seeing. I think this playoffs is going to be a great playoffs. We're going to talk about that as well too in the as stuff settle in with the play-in, and that kind of gets rid of getting out the way, and they get rid of that. Not get rid of that, but it finishes, and we finally have 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7 on both sides. Now I could really talk about the playoff preview. So we'll just wait for that. Stay tuned. I already know. I know y'all were like, oh my God, he didn't talk about the Raptors yet. Come on now. It's coming. It's coming. Don't worry about that. But for the most part, it's what Elite looks like. The play-in is today. So we'll see how that transpires. You know what I mean? A lot of pressure on the Nets. They have 2 chances. They better get it done so they can face the Celtics, because you don't want to go, 8 and face the Heat. Either one, you know what I mean? At least they're not facing the Bucks. I don't know. We'll see how that transpires. But it's what Elite looks like. It's True Talks, like I said. It's True Talks. You already know. Click that notification button so you know when I'm here. Because I'm here. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. D-Book MVP, man. MVP. He should be. Most definitely. It's what Elite looks like. And I'm out, man.